Hi, this is Chris Heller, Chief Real Estate Officer at OJO Labs. I'm super excited today to be talking to another great coach, Michael Hellickson of Club Wealth. And one of the reasons I'm so excited to talk to Michael is because I've heard him coach agents. I've heard his coaches coach agents, and they coach the right messages. And that's why I want everyone to be able to hear this. So Michael, thanks for being here.
No, absolutely. I'm glad you invited me to be on, and I'm looking forward to our conversation today.
Hey, so let's this right off the bat. If someone hears something that they want to get more information on or want to talk to you, what's the best way for people to reach you?
I would just send me a Facebook message. You can reach out to me there. Or if you want to just jump on clubwealth.com, there's all kinds of ways you can reach us on clubwealth.com or join our Facebook group. Just search for Club Wealth in Facebook. But, super easy to reach me. Facebook message is probably the easiest thing to do. So.
All right. Well, I hope a lot of people reach out because you have a lot to offer and a lot of value to provide. So speaking of value, we introduce agents to consumers, and it's a blind date, right? We have a consumer, we have an agent, we put them together, and part of the key for agents is to be able to build trust and rapport, communicate their value proposition. What would you coach an agent, or what do you coach agents on how to do that effectively?
I absolutely love that. Okay, before I answer that, can I throw out some credibility? I want to make sure that the audience knows why in the heck should they even take my advice? Like, what I mean by that is I'm always a believer that if you want to get somewhere, you should only be talking to people that have been where you want to go. And so why would you want to listen to me today? Because as an agent, I was consistently consistently closing 120 to 180 transactions a month. And had at any one time 750 listings in active and pending status with a team of just 16 agents. So we've been around the block a little bit, built and ran the number one team in the country for a long time. And back in the day, Chris and I were doing things that most people didn't even think about as being important, like standing up when you talk, right? You'll notice both Chris and I are standing up right now. So I would suggest first and foremost, if you get a call from a consumer, get on your feet. It'll get your energy level up. Make sure you're smiling. You've got to make sure that your posture, your attitude strengthens your message and doesn't weaken it. So now, once you get that consumer on the phone, to Chris's point, how do I make sure that I'm delivering them value? Well, first and foremost, you got to understand you're in a service business. What does that mean? We got to serve people, right? Now think about this for just a second. So often in our business, we want to make people jump through our hoops before we'll do anything for them. The thing that cracks me up the most are the agents out there that say, well, before I show you anything, I've got to make sure that I've got you pre-approved or pre-qualified with my lender. And I think, man, what a ridiculous statement, right? I mean, that's so self-serving. It's really all about us as agents, and it's not about them as consumers. We need to take a lesson from another industry. You know which industry knows more about lead conversion than the real estate industry? An industry that is dangerous to the public. In fact, it can get you thrown in jail. In fact, their product kills their consumers, and yet they're better at conversion than real estate agents. Who do you think I'm talking about?
Are you talking about drug dealers?
I'm absolutely talking about drug dealers. Think about drug dealers. Now, I've never done drugs, so we won't go there. But think about drug dealers for a second. What do they know about lead conversion that real estate agents don't know?
They give them a sample?
That's it. Write this down. Everybody watching this needs to write this down. First one's free, then you got to pay. But you got to get them hooked on the product. So you got to ask yourself, what's my product? The product isn't the house. The product is you. So how do I get them hooked on the product? I got to get face-to-face with them. Every single person listening to this right now, I guarantee you sell better face-to-face than you do over the phone. Get face-to-face with them. They want to see the house? Great. Let's go see the house. Would you like to see it Tuesday or Wednesday at 4? Which one works better for you? Get them out there. Don't drive them nuts with a bunch of questions. Don't interrogate them. Don't make them jump through hoops. Just give them what they want and go show them the house. When you're out there, you'll build rapport. You'll build a relationship. And some people would say, well, Michael, what if they're not qualified? What if they can't afford a shoebox, let alone a house? You know what? Don't worry about that. Worst case scenario, they're a referral source for you. That's the worst thing that can possibly happen is they just become a referral source, right?
Yeah, that's so right on. And I'm so happy that you're sharing that with our people. So it's a service industry. You got to serve people. You got to get face to face, then build the rapport, build the trust. Let's talk about the next steps. An agent meets a consumer, and now there's a process of following up. And that's where I see a lot of agents struggle. How can we help these agents with their follow-up?
The first thing you have to understand is we don't know how people want to be followed up with. There are lots of different ways people communicate today. So what we're going to look at is we're going to look at the main ways. I'm going to give you guys 7 ways to follow up. And then I'm going to give you our rule of 3. And our rule of 3, the Club Wealth rule of 3, is basically the system with which we follow up. It's super simple. Don't overcomplicate it. But let's start with the 7 ways. 1 is phone. Everybody wants to automate everything. Everybody wants to use AI. Everybody wants to have technology do the work for them. And I'm not here to tell you that technology can't help. Absolutely, it's a great augmentation, but it's not a replacement for you picking up the phone and actually talking to people. This is a voice-to-voice and face-to-face business. We have to build relationships. So first and foremost is phone. Next is email, text message, video email, video text message, Facebook message, and video Facebook message. I don't know what they're going to respond to yet. So I'm going to throw it out there, every single thing I can. I'm going to hit them land, air, and sea, like just an all-encompassing siege right from the get-go. And then whenever they respond to, that's how I'm going to begin communicating with them. That's how I'm going to begin developing my rapport. But I've got to hit them in all 7 of those ways. Now, how frequently I need to follow up is also very important. So let's back up. There's 2 keys to follow up. Number 1 is speed to lead. And number 2 is frequency and tenacity of follow-up, right? So speed to lead, I got to get down, right? Too many people think, well, as long as I get to them within 5 minutes, I'm okay. No, 5 minutes, you've got literally 9 years ago, the Harvard Business Review figured out that there's a 900% decrease in connectivity rate if you wait 5 minutes or longer. That was 9 years ago. And today it's way worse than that. So I'll tell you, the number 1 real estate agent in the country closed 6,000 transactions last year. Literally, they've got their speed to lead to 16 seconds. 16 seconds is their average speed to lead. Then you've got to be super, super tenacious about follow-up. What does that mean? Write this down. Super simple. This will get you there. Write this down. 3 times a day for the first 3 days, 3 times a week for the next 3 weeks, 3 times a month for the next 3 months. I'm going to give that to you again. Write this down. 3 times a day for the first 3 days, 3 times a week for the next 3 weeks, 3 times a month for the next 3 months. If you have not done all of that with no response, you do not get to abdicate your responsibility to follow up to technology. You have to continue to follow up. If you have done all those 27 attempts with no response, now you can place them on autopilot with your technology. But you can't do that any sooner than that, or you are missing out. Most leads will not convert. The average, this is crazy. Think about this. The average lead will not convert until the 12th contact. That's crazy numbers. You've got that's not 12th attempt, that's 12th contact. Everybody in this industry thinks, oh, I've got a lead generation problem. You don't have a lead generation problem. OJO will do the freaking lead generation for you. You've got no problem with lead generation. In real estate, most agents have a lead follow-up problem, and some even have a lead conversion problem.
Yeah, well, let's talk about that, because, and by the way, you nailed lead follow-up as well as anyone I've ever heard nail lead follow-up. And I'm going to have my team listen to this part because you just hit on all the things I'd want someone to be doing. But now conversion. Let's talk about conversion. What's the keys there? What are the things that agents that are doing it really well, what are they doing?
Okay, when you make your calls every day, this is the thing. And Chris, I know that you will agree with me on this. If you want to convert more business, you have to change your focus. So often people are focused on how much time they spend prospecting or how many calls they make or how many contacts they make. None of that matters. There is one metric that you have to track and one metric only that you need to focus on if you want to convert more. And that is, how many appointments did I set? That's it. Every single day, you need to have a minimum standard for this is how many appointments I'm going to set. And every conversation, you have one goal. It's not to build rapport. It's not to make contact. It's not to tell them how great you are. It's not to get them pre-qualified. It's to set a freaking appointment. If you don't set the appointment, you're not doing the business. There are only 3 acceptable outcomes for a call. I either schedule an appointment, or I schedule a follow-up call, or I decide I'm not going to work with these people. That's it. Those are the only 3 outcomes possible. Anything else, you've chosen number 3. That's it.
I hear agents follow up and check in. Oh, how's it going? And and they ask every question except for, would it make sense for us to meet now, or why don't we meet?
So let's give them. I want to give you guys a couple of quick, easy scripts. All right, let's start with that because too often our follow-up sucks because our scripting sucks. And I'm not a huge script guy. I'm really more of a dialogue guy. But there are some easy scripts you can memorize that will kind of start the conversation. So first and foremost, when I make a follow-up call, stop calling them up and saying, "So are you ready to buy yet?" Like that's self-serving. Okay, don't be that guy. What you need to do is call them up and say, "Hey, Chris, it's Michael over at Hellickson Real Estate. I just wanted to make sure I'm not dropping the ball on my end." More often than not, the response is, "Oh, no, it's not you. You're doing a great job. It's us. We've just been really busy," right? It's like that girl in high school, right? It's not you, it's me, right? Next, you've got to have a script when you're on the appointment. You've got to have a way to ask for the business, right? So when I'm out showing houses, I've got to have a closing question. The problem with most agents is, a lot of times people like the house. They want to make an offer, or they'd be willing to make an offer if someone asked them, "Do you want to make an offer?" So you've got to have a question. And I would recommend with everything, have 2 or 3 scripts memorized that just come to top of mind that are really, really easy. And so I would recommend a couple of closing questions. One that's really simple and that always gets a great response. When you're out showing houses, at the end of the showing, simply ask them this: "Chris, at what price would this be a great deal for you?" See, it's not a yes or no question. Instead of saying, "Do you want to make an offer on this?" That's a harder question for them to ask or to answer. But if I say something like, "Hey, Chris, at what price would this be a great deal for you?" I'll buy anything for $1, right? I'll buy anything at some price. And if I don't care what ridiculous price they give you, your answer is always the same. "Great, let's write it up for that and see what happens." That's it. Start getting them on paper. If you start getting them on paper, you've taken a baby step to them working with you and committing their loyalty to you. And now they'll continue down the road with you, and eventually they'll buy something.
I couldn't agree more. And it is as simple as what you're sharing. What gets in the way a lot of times is our agents, is themselves, their mindset, their thoughts, they don't want to offend, they don't want to impose, and all the stuff that they make up in their heads. Do you see that too, or is it just my imagination?
It's our limiting beliefs that prohibit us from reaching the success levels that we're entitled, or that we're capable. I shouldn't say entitled, that we're capable of achieving. It's definitely limiting beliefs in our own mind. I'll give you an example. All the time when I'm working with team leaders, one of the biggest challenges team leaders have is really recognizing their own value. What value do I bring to my team? They have a tough time really understanding that until you sit down with them and start saying, "Well, okay, do you have a great CRM? Do you have great leads? Do you have great support staff? Do you have, you start going through the list and like, "Well, yeah, I've got that. Wow, I guess I do bring a lot of value," right? But they don't realize that until you help them understand it. Well, same thing is true. Buyers are no different, right? Agents and buyers both no different. Think about the buyer out there. They don't know what they can buy. They don't know what's possible. They don't know that there's a lot of times they don't even know there's a tax deduction they can get as a part of home ownership. I want to back up 1 second. I want to just share something that I think we brushed over that I want to make sure agents have the tool in their arsenal to accomplish. A lot of you out there right now are thinking, "Well, Michael, I really, really, really want to get people pre-qualified before I show them houses." First of all, you need to remove that limiting belief, and you need to just show anybody a house once. Now, that being said, I'm going to give you a script that will get almost any buyer to want to talk with your lender almost every time. And it's super easy, and it's not pushy, and it's not self-serving. It's going to come from a servant's heart. You guys ready for this? Write this down. If they could save you $10,000 to $20,000 on your mortgage, would you be interested in chatting with one of our lenders? Write that down. If they could save you $10,000 to $20,000 on your mortgage, would you be interested in chatting with one of our lenders? Of course, they're going to say yes. And now you have their permission to have your lender call them. And then by the way, you never ask that question until you've scheduled the time to go show the house. And then after they say yes, you tell them, "Okay, great, I'm going to have my lender call you. Blah, is this the best number? Blah, 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 blah." Then you reconfirm the showing and you go out and you show them the house. Game over. Game over.
Yep. And they'll answer yes to that question most of the time, even if they've already started the process or already through the process with another lender. That's the beauty of that question. All right. So, Michael, this is gold. All this is, and I can't thank you enough for bringing the energy and, more important, bringing the scripts and the dialogues. Let's wrap it up with this question. Agents are starting to realize that the market's starting to shift a bit. All right. The velocity is starting to slow down. Inventory is starting to build. some listings are actually overpriced now. Is it weird that we went through a year and a half where no listing was overpriced? But things are starting to shift. So what do agents need to be focused on? What do they need to be doing differently?
Oh, I love that question. All right. And I'm going to give you a tool for this too. Here's the thing. Write this down. Goals suck. Habits rule. You guys, you got to stop thinking in terms of goals and you got to start thinking in terms of daily habits. You want to succeed in the next 2 to 5 years. There's a couple of things you can do. First and foremost, I'll tell you this. If you're not on a team or building a team, you need to be. Teams are going to take over in the next 5 to 10 years. Mark my words, guarantee it. They're going to own the market in the next 5 to 10 years. That being said, you have to control your daily habits. And I will tell you, it's as simple as the first 4 hours of every day, the first 4 working hours of every day. At 8 o'clock, your workday starts. From 8 till noon, no phone call, no inbound phone calls, no text messages, no emails. Don't check any of that stuff. Turn all notifications off on your phone, email, computer, everything. All you do, there's only 2 things you do between 8 a.m. and noon. And you're doing nothing but lead generation, lead follow-up. That's it. You're making your phone calls. You don't do anything else during those 4 hours. And you need to have an assistant. Remember, if you don't have an assistant, you are one. But you need to have an assistant that's blocking those inbound calls. And if somebody calls in and they're a fresh lead, she can give you that. But other than a new lead coming in, you are 100% focused on your outbound efforts. Now, that said, you need to have what's called a perfect daily schedule. And I'm going to give you a tool for that. Can I give them a website to go to?
Please.
Okay. I want you to go to clubwealth.com/PDS. There's a video of me teaching how to build your perfect daily schedule, and you can download examples. It's free. That doesn't cost you anything. You just download these examples of different people's perfect daily schedule. If you can nail that, I can go back in, I can look at anybody's schedule, anybody in real estate. If I know your average sales price in your market and I look at what you did last week, I'll tell you what you're going to make next year. We will know how much you're going to make next year based on what you did last week. So what you need to do is you need to develop habits that force you to succeed and do the hard stuff first. Don't do the hard stuff in the afternoon. It won't happen. Do it early in the morning, get it out of the way. And I don't even really care what you do afternoon. Just focus on that morning.
All right. So everyone knows now exactly what they should be doing, what they need to be doing to succeed. Michael, thank you very much for taking the time. I hope people watch this 3 or 4 times because there's so much great content in it. And if they need to find you, find them on Facebook or at clubwealth.com. Thanks, Michael.
Thanks a lot, Chris.